Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast. You know, I talk a lot in Spontaneous Brilliance about how fast people think, but are we noticing the thoughts that we're thinking? That's my question. Our thoughts are so powerful, especially when they engage our imagination and we start envisioning. And that is what happens so often. We start imagining, we start envisioning, and we don't even notice it. And heaven help us if it's on a really negative, ooky thought. We're usually imagining these things in unconscious ways. We're usually doing that about the future or about the past. And more often than not, it's about a future we don't want or a past we didn't like. And the past is anything before this second, and the future is anything past this second. We see news or we get information and we immediately start, without even trying to envision the circumstances being talked about. Let's just talk about that for a minute. Let's just talk about information coming to us through the news or whatever. You know, there's a lot of talk nowadays about avoiding negative news, and that's hard to do. There's a lot of it. You know, if you've got anything going on and you want to find out information, a lot of times it comes with a lot of bad news surrounding it, as it were, or opinions that are pretty negative about an event or a circumstance. How many of us see the news and start immediately, without even trying, to envision the circumstances being talked about? You know, as soon as somebody starts talking about war somewhere, I guarantee you instantaneously some image you have perceived at some point when there is war or battle or bomb or gunfire or anything, images come to your mind immediately. Those images are the imagined thought, and those thoughts are happening faster than we even perceive, let alone, take conscious possession of. And so that is something that we have to engage with in order to increase our response ability to the information that's coming into us. Because whenever we're hearing something, we are visualizing something in response. And if we are 100% response able, we need to start to get a handle on those unconscious visualizations, imaginings that are happening in response. If I say, don't think of a pink elephant, you saw it in your mind as fast as you heard me say pink elephant. You did not have to think, oh, now I should see a pink elephant. If I say pink elephant, pink elephant, pink elephant, pink elephant, okay, there's a pink elephant there in your head. It might just be a glancing blow, but when I say pink elephant, you see it. That's why that concept of telling someone not to think of a pink elephant is so instructive. But they don't mean think. They mean don't imagine, don't see a pink elephant in your mind, because we literally see it. We literally visualize it. We literally give it a substance of a sort. And visualization is a step on the mode to creation. So as we are focusing, as we are visualizing, as we are imagining, remember the line from the ancient texts, as you think, so shall it be? We are writing our own story here on the great stage of life. Some people say it in this way: we are creating our reality. I say we're writing the play here on the great stage of life. Each of us is writing our own story as we go. Our response ability is about choosing what we are going to visualize, what we are going to intend, what we are going to imagine for this future moment or for this current moment, or even as our feeling about a past moment. What you're seeing before you when you're watching the news or when you're being told about a pink elephant, what's before you is very hard not to visualize. Our imagination is a creative force, though. So if we are visualizing the worst case scenario or the worst possible outcome, If that's what we're envisioning, that's what we are moving energy toward. That's what we are helping to create. When we're watching the news, we're not only envisioning the circumstance that's being discussed or reported, we go past that and we listen to the commentary and we give commentary ourselves and we envision the worst case scenario. We envision the worst possible outcome. We set up ourselves to engage in the energy of something we don't want and to imagine it and imagine it and imagine it. So often these days I hear people say, we're screwed, or I'm so afraid of, or what if they do this, or what if he does that, or what if, or I'm really planning to do this unless these people do that. Unless it's not there anymore, unless I don't have the chance anymore, unless, why? There's a why question. What is it that we are getting from that? What is it that we're getting from that? I would venture to say we're not getting any offers from ourselves in that moment. We are over accepting someone else's offer and we're making it our entire story. We're helping write somebody else's story. Let's take an honest look at this for a second. How often do you hear a report of something that is being described to you and you start imagining the worst possible outcome? And you start imagining what you're going to do when this thing inevitably happens. And you start formulating your practices and protections and responses to the thing that may never happen. And your life, or at least a significant part of your life at that point, becomes that, even if that never comes to fruition. Whether or not that thing actually happens, a big part of your energy goes toward envisioning it happening. And Mark Twain said, I have a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. We worry about things, and when we worry about things, we imagine them. And when we imagine and envision them, we are helping to create that reality. I'm just going to put it that bluntly. If it's what you don't want, if it's what you do not want the world to be like, if it's what you do not want your environment to be, if it's what you do not want your relationship to be, if it is what you do not want your grade to be, if it's what you do not want your job to be, or the response of somebody to you, or your financial circumstance, or whatever it is, if it is what you don't want, then do not spend any time imagining what you are going to feel like when you get to what you don't want, when that don't want happens. You spend the time imagining, feeling in the way you want to, desire to feel and live. So it's about when you feel yourself shifting toward that, oh my God, what if? And all the what ifs are negative and all the what ifs are in somebody else's power, switch it. Flip the what if to, what if this happens? And come up with a doozy, a good doozy, a positive doozy, a doozy that you love. What if this? And say it out loud if you need to. And turn off the television first so that the news stops, right? Turn off the YouTube, whatever it is, and just say, what if this? What if the next time there's a video, it's going to tell the whole world that I just did this? Or it's going to tell the whole world that peace has come to wherever. What is the world you want to create? What is the environment you want to create? What is the relationship you want to create with other people, with your environment, with yourself, with money, with your job, with your learning, with your experiences? What is the relationship that you want to create? What is the story you want to tell? It's all about relationship. It's all about where you place yourself. Do not place yourself in the victim place. We have 100% responsibility, but we don't remember to utilize it. We don't remember that 100% means 100%, and it means 100% of the time. It means all the ability to respond and all of the time to all of the things. And sometimes our response is not the easiest one, because sometimes the easiest one is to just buy in, let the bad circumstance just be, because what could you do? Well, first of all, turn the TV off. Stop wallowing in the victim mentality that is. Sorry to use that catchphrase, but okay, it just is. When we're over-accepting, when we're making ourselves a victim, we are over-accepting somebody else's offers. Let's remember what the process is. It's yes, and here's what I'm going to do. I did a whole podcast about this. Don't remember what it was called, but I did a whole podcast about you can say yes to the tough stuff. That's what it was. It was yes-anding the tough stuff. So there is a podcast a ways back about that. But you can say, yeah, okay, I see that in the world. I acknowledge that. And this is what I'm going to do. And for me, I used to be a little newsaholic, and I've gotten over that because, it's not helping. Okay. So for me, I've turned it off. I've stepped away from it. And I can only say that it helps. It helps. I am not any less focused on doing the things that I need to do to make the world a better place as best I can. Everything from energy work like the Ho'oponopono to doing this podcast, to literally getting out and getting my hands dirty and helping build something. Whatever it is, I still do those things. I go where I'm needed and where passion leads me, and I do all the stuff. I don't watch somebody else tell me what I'm supposed to be afraid of or what I'm good enough at doing that all by myself. I can come up with things to be afraid of, just like I know you can too. We all are really, really good at doing that. We need to stop having other people tell us what to be afraid of, tell us what to worry about. Because really, what is it going to help? If you need information about what you care about and where your passion lies and where your genius lies, get the information and then use it to go do something proactive about it, because acting is active. You are not here on the great stage of life to listen to somebody else tell you how you should sit on the couch, eat Cheetos, and be scared. There used to be, this is probably 15 years ago, and notice it wasn't necessary, but 15 years ago, something like that, there used to be this show on regular television. And I only know this because Rex had a regular antenna TV at the time, so you could get those off channels. And there was what I used to call the disaster home shopping network. It was like these religious people that were selling all these disaster things and all these things for the end of times and all these, which is kind of ironic because if it's the end of times, hello. But they were selling all this stuff like packaged food that would last for 1 billion years in your bomb shelter. And how do you have light and water filters and things? Because it's coming, folks. It's coming. It's coming. It was constant. It was on every day. And it was, I'm sure, making somebody a lot of money. And at the same time, and this is 15 years ago, at the same time, Walmart, I remember, had big vats, plastic vats of dried grains or beans or oats or whatever, barrels of it that you could buy. And they were sitting right near the door of the store. At least they were here in this state. And lots of cases of, kind of the prepackaged food that would last forever in the little silver envelopes and stuff. And I'm sure that if they had them out there, people were buying them because it was coming to an end, right? We were going to be in the fallout shelters, right? How many bomb shelters were built during the Cold War at great expense and great effort? And they're still sitting there, right? But people had them in their backyards. Have you seen the movie Blast from the Past? People had them in their backyards and they expected that was what was going to happen, that it was inevitable. I remember in the 60s, that we used to have drills where we would get under our desks, right? The sort of bomb drills, and we'd climb under our desks. Well, I'm just going to ask you and me and everybody else, what if we had spent... Now, obviously, nobody in the U.S. had to actually experience that. Thank goodness. Appreciated. But what if all the time that we spent practicing getting under our desks and practicing what to be afraid of? What if we had spent that same time writing letters to the heads of state in other countries, wishing them well, or asking them to tell us about the children in their countries and what their hopes and dreams for those children were? What if we spent at least equal, preferably more, time on compliment training, encouragement training, recognizing your genius training, recognizing what's wonderful about the people around you training, recognizing what you love training, find the love training? That would be beautiful. But we are literally building systems based on what we are imagining is going to go wrong. And so how about if we let that be what someone else is offering and we focus on our imagining of what is the beautiful thing we want to create? What do we want our energy to do? Because we are having those thoughts fast. So anytime you catch yourself having a thought and you notice, it's important in order to be in this process with your spontaneous thoughts. It's just as important to catch the beautiful ones as to catch the not so beautiful ones, the negative ones, right? And you only do that if you make it a practice to pay attention to what are the thoughts that are traveling through your head at any given moment. So check in with yourself. I try to check in with myself once an hour just because I don't always notice it randomly. You know, that train will get going, right? We'll think of something and then it'll take us somewhere else and it'll take us somewhere else. And then pretty soon we're imagining or we're remembering, which is another form of imagining, right? We're envisioning some discord we had with somebody or somebody who treated us badly, or we're imagining something that we're afraid is going to not turn out the way we want it to turn out. All of these things that we do, you know, that where we get into the worries that aren't ever going to happen, right? When we're in that, we don't notice it. It's a loop that becomes very natural to happen. So I literally check in with myself every hour and just kind of notice what I'm noticing. As Mary Morrissey would say, I notice what I am thinking about and what I have been thinking about. And I kind of try to catch myself. It's kind of in alignment with Emmett Fox's 7-day mental diet, that anytime you notice yourself on a negative thought train, that you reset and find a positive thought train. But remember, when you are in a negative thought train, you cannot, just like on the stage, I cannot help an actor not do something strange with their hands by telling them not to do the strange thing with their hands. I have to give them something else to do. So when you are having a negative thought or when you are envisioning a negative scenario, replace it actively with something else you want to do, you want to have happen, you want to be grateful for, you want to love into, you want to bring to fruition. So notice when you are having a negative thought, don't spend any more time on it. As soon as you notice it, flip the script. Find the opposite. Find something completely disattached from it. If you try to just shift your negative thoughts or your fears to a little bit less fearful, you need to flip the script, take it completely out to something else. And the easiest, fastest way to do that is go to radical gratitude. If you can flip into radical gratitude, and the reason I call it radical gratitude is because it's got no attachment to anything. It's just grateful for whatever you can see in front of you, whatever you can feel in your hands, whatever is right there in the moment. Don't judge it. Just say, I am so grateful that somebody invented this rubber stuff that's on the table in front of me because it keeps things from moving around and it's kind of fun. And I get to play with it with my fingers. And I'm so grateful for whoever had the idea that you could actually turn some bunch of things into another bunch of things. See, because wherever your brain goes, just add to it. Just take it and then look somewhere else and see something else. If you run out of things to be grateful for where you're looking, look somewhere else. Maybe you'll see a picture of someone you love. Be grateful for them and imagine beautiful things with them. And the more that we do this, the more that we practice this, the more that we stay in this state, And you can read Emmett Fox's 7-Day Mental Diet. It's out there all over the place. I think you can get PDFs of it for free online, probably. And there are lots of really inexpensive book forms of it. But when you are approaching life in this way, it is about being conscious of what you are creating, because our thoughts become things. So as Mike Dooley would say, thoughts become things. Choose the good ones. Okay? So choose what you are wanting to create and know that you do have responsibility, 100% responsibility, 100% the ability to respond, and 100% ownership for the world you choose to create, the reality you choose to create. Your success, or as Stella Adler would say, your talent lies within your choice. Your success lies within your choice. You are a brilliant player playing a character on the great stage of life. Unite your two selves and choose how you are going to think, speak, and act in every moment. Own it. You got this. You can do it. This world is a beautiful place with many beautiful, beautiful things to experience and many beautiful experiences to learn from. That little list right there, some part of you had a knee-jerk little inkling of not really. Well, except for beautiful. I don't know if I'd go that far. If you had any of those kind of reactions within it, again, that's 100% your responsibility in this moment. What you do with both what I offered and your response to it. It's up to you how you choose to use this incredibly powerful thing you have in your imagination, this incredibly powerful thought process that you go through in every instant. Remember, 60,000 thoughts a day. Yeah, and that's conservative. So come on, let's get those thoughts in a line and point them toward the reality we want to create. All right? And no pink elephants. No pink elephants. Don't think of a pink elephant. All right. Well done, my friends. So thank you for being here again. And I hope that you think all kinds of beautiful realities into being. And while you're doing that, have a beautiful, glorious, blessing-filled day. And I'll see you soon. The Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast is brought to you by Miracle Communications Group. Our producer is Michelle Oneida. Sound engineer is Corey Michaels at Corey Michaels Productions. Music is composed by Rex Miller. And I'm your host, Sandra Kavanaugh. You can learn more about me and all things Spontaneous Brilliance at sandrakavanaugh.com or spontaneousbrilliance.com. And please join the conversation here at the Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast by emailing us at podcast@spontaneousbrilliance.com.